On this episode of Burn the Wagon, we're calling this one Empowering Tribal Communities. My guest, Priest Martinez, comes on to talk about his journey, revitalizing and learning WAPPO traditions, addressing housing challenges on and off reservation, and highlights the importance of teaching younger generations about their culture and encouraging them to seek help when needed. Thank you for listening. Peace and love. Welcome to another episode of Burn the Wagon podcast, where we're here to burn the wagon that is patriarchy, colonialism, and capitalism. Today, my guest is Priest Martinez. But first, I'm going to do a little prayer, and we'll get going on the topics that we got going today. So I want to send love to anybody out there suffering from domestic violence issues. I want to send love to anybody out there suffering from drug addictions. I want to send love to any of our unhoused relatives. I want to send love to Prairie. I want to send love to the land that we come to you from today, and that's Ukiah, California. I also want to send love to any of our relatives out in Sudan, Congo, and Palestine. So like I said, today my guest is Priest Martinez. And so I'm just going to let you, I always like to start off with here, what tribe or tribes you're from, and we'll go from there.
Definitely. Thank you, Juan, for allowing me to be a part of this again. So I'm a tribal enrolled member of River Valley Rancheria, Little River Banapoma Indians, but also I'd like to recognize my WAPPO side from my grandfather, and then my dad's side, Cloverdale Rancheria. So that's where I come from.
Okay, and WAPPO, you don't hear that too often. So like I really like, because my mom's WAPPO, so like I always want to like learn more about that. So what's the area that tribe is from?
Well, it depends on the maps you use, but the maps that we've used before, it was Snowmont Lake and Mendocino counties where they had a lot of tribal lands of where they were sites where they were seen. As of the land now, it's mostly Napa and the Sugarloaf area.
Okay.
Sugarloaf
Okay.
area. But before the map of colonization, the map was the was for like the oldest tribe in those counties.
Okay, right on. And have you been able to, is there like a big revitalization of like songs and stuff like that going on?
I think that it is. It's coming back. It's coming back in a good way because there's a stigma about being WAPPO, right? Because WAPPO, their medicine was, they had the owl for the bottom feathers, and a lot of stigma against owls because of the beliefs. And we know that owls are definitely just messengers, right? So just bringing that back into the collaboration of what Pomo ways are, and just separating the fact that WAPPOs were a part of that history, and just having the idea of, everything that God created has a purpose here on earth, whether it's the bad way people believe about owls, but also or honoring the fact that an owl was a messenger that gave us, interpret what could possibly happen to our families. And so for us, me learning in WAPPO ways is my grandfather used to do it. Every time he'd get buzzed up and like let some things out from what his mom and his dad or, the grandparents around used to do, was big because that's when we got to learn like words. We got to learn songs. We got to learn like ways. And then just having our family kind of research on what WAPPO, tradition culture is. There's really no videos on it. There might be some in Berkeley, but it's all honestly just getting back to, having the elders of today give us what they have, and kind of taking that and collaborating with, a lot of the songs that, that are out there, we talked to Clarence, we talked to a few other people, and, there is a recognition of some of those songs that we sing today possibly came from WAPPOs, and also some songs that we do sing are WAPPO songs that were traded back in the day. So we're deciphering which ones they are now, and just making sure that we determine when we sing them in the right way, and just kind of, going in the direction of treating it with respect and knowing the words. It's important to know the words because I grew up with traditional songs as chants, right? And that's just to get us to identify like as songs and tradition is there for us. But then, the teachers that say, hey, well, you're a part of this way. So now we want to teach you more in depth, like all these songs are words. There's yo and there's way, there's definitions based on that for the songs and why they sing them, during ceremony and where they came from. I don't think we're going to find where the WAPPO songs came from the old traditional ways. But if I look at my history map and what gave me the idea is that there was a chief that was in the ancestry.com and he said he was a WAPPO chief, right?
Yep.
So I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I want to know more. And so that's where I got to where I am today is like me and my family, me and the individuals that try to research this and bring WAPPO back in today's society and talking to the dancers that are around today. We just want to be able to do it in a correct way. We were asked at one point to talk to WAPPO elders, and we did those things, right? We did those things, and some of the elders still feel like, well, we should find out more. And so now I think that, Bryson, you have a big community up there at Sugarloaf that wants to bring it back, right? The Mishua Wappos, they're doing a great job of trying to get it together. And so I think that, even because I'm a registered member of Red Valley, that doesn't mean I can't do the WAPPO way. It just means that, for us internally, I just feel comfortable actually bringing back what our grandfather kind of gave us and bringing it back fully because it's a part of ceremony. And that's might be the part missing for us.
Yeah, because you hear that a lot in Native cultures where it's a lot of people claiming both clans or whatever, right? And that's why I see how I see it when you're saying like, or WAPPO and whatever else people are doing. So I think that's super important to continue going on. And where we're at here right now is Northern Circle Housing. So let's talk about a little bit the work that you do through there, because I saw you guys post something about not one financial literacy classes, but another thing that was about I think connected to addiction and being able to help folks with that in that area.
So for me, having the lived experience of not having been taught financial literacy on the reservation and in schools, that's a life skills that was kind of left out of the school system, or just being brought up in, we minimize it now is that we don't get taught much. So for financial literacy, I didn't know what a credit score was till I was 40 years old and trying to buy a house. I didn't care about it, but at the same time, I felt like I was robbed I could have set myself up for a home ownership at as early as 20 years old, building my credit, knowing that it only takes 2 years of credit to have enough to purchase a home with 2 years income. And I finally realized at 40 years old, how easy it was to buy a home. But I want that for all tribes. In our department, we have a deliverable that says that we got to teach homeownership to tribal members. That's what we want. We don't want to have tribal members dependent on rental assistance all their life, or low income housing, or just being able to be comfortable to live in a reservation home. We want the ones that want to dream about buying a home one day to really go after that. So financial literacy is the part that I've been trying to teach for the last 5 years, but in all honesty, I'm not an expert at it. So we brought goal setters in as the experts to say, we created an app. We created a program you could do on your own time to build your financial literacy, whether it be budgeting, whether it be fixing your taxes, fixing your credit repair, whether it's home ownership, or say that if you have extra money, where are you going to invest that money, where it's going to look like for your future. And I think that's a part of us as housing that we have to give to tribal membership, right? Because we want to give them equity. I don't think that tribal membership understands what the word equity means, and you own it. You're just going to build yourself up to be invested in. And that's what we want. We want tribal members to invest in themselves and be able to say, hey, kids, this is how easy it was for me to buy a home. Let's get you prepared now at age 16, getting them credit repair, getting them, a bank account, getting them, credit response with secure credit card. When they're 18 years old, 19 years old, they could go get their own rental without a cosigning, because a lot of our parents don't want to cosign.
Yeah.
I know that I didn't have it. I had to do it on my own, right? I had to go find somebody else, but I just want it to be fair. I don't want what happened to me when I was young to happen to the kids that are grown up nowadays. We have so much resources. We just got to collaborate, think outside the box. And so for us, Goal Setters was the perfect. They critiqued it to the Native community, made it to where the natives will kind of understand. And guess what? Me, you, and all the other people that are out here, we learn it, we could teach somebody else how to do it. And this is open for the consortium tribal membership. Each tribe gets 22 slots available. And next year we'll just keep going and building and building and building. If we get 5 people in each tribe, we're doing our job.
Yeah.
If we do 20 each tribe a year, we're doing our job. And that's what we want to build. We want to build that character, confidence in, hey, I could know what to do with my money. Even if it is a food stamp card.
Yeah.
Let me know how to budget that every week so I don't have to suffer at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And that was with me with the homelessness, because most of my job description is creating a path for homelessness to home ownership. And so that was important for me. And the second part, SLE, that we collaborated with Ukiah Recovery Services, was important for us. And I tell this story over and over again, and I told it when we do the ribbon cutting, is that Mariah is a big part of this tribal organization, Northern Circle, because she allows me to go out there and think, hey, what is important to tribal community? And we do a survey. What is important? We want people to have somewhere safe to live, not on the street, and somewhere they're going to be, to build themselves up, to get away from these substances and these alcoholisms, and be able to have a place where they can learn something, right? Because there's a reason why it happened to them, but we got to get them a reason out of that situation. So an SLE is perfect. It's up to 12 months that, a tribal member could go through our program, go live in this SLE. We have staff that's going to be able to go look for housing navigation, rental assistance. If you're technically homeless, like, we're going to put you in a coordinated entry system to work with the county to get a voucher. Our job is to create life skills for you all over again. Because even I did that. I didn't get sober and clean till I was 40 years old, and I did it in prison, right? But when I came out, I was like, I was so mad. Like, you got to go to rehab. I was like, why? I've been clean and sober this long. Everything happens for a reason. I had to go through all the things I had to go through so I could teach other people to do this. And so for me, the SLE was big. There's 24 beds. It's pretty much already full, but you know what? It's going to be a repetitive thing that's going to happen over and over again for our community to be able to say, hey, I seen Priest on a video. He said he has something to help me. Now I did my job. I'm able to take that phone call and say, hey, I can help you with this. So we're going to have this for a long time, a relationship. And it's not our first SLE. It's definitely not going to be our last.
Hell yeah. So you brought up something that, like, it has been a conversation with some people, like home ownership for natives, right? Not only off the res, but on the res, because my mom owned her home. And that's what something people don't really understand is, like, how housing works on the res. They just think people just have free homes when that's not always the case.
That's not always the case.
Yeah.
And like for me, they had this thing back in the 80s where tribal membership got to utilize a certain amount of funds to build a certain amount of houses on reservation. That's where we go into the waiting list.
Yeah.
So everybody got point system on the waiting list, got to choose a house, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Most of the tribes around here, that's when their houses were building. Here's the thing. They didn't teach us how to take care of these houses. So 30 plus years later, we're reinvesting money back into it instead of reinvesting in new homes for our generation. And that was important for me to work here at North Circle, because I remember my mom said, well, I'm going to own this house after 15, then it was 20. Oh, and then 25 years, and it's still not own the homes. She's still, before she passed away, she was still just a renter. At 35 plus years, it's still just a renter, because people don't understand the process of, it's called use of life with HUD. If you use your HUD funding back into that, then it puts use of life, it still has to stay a renter. It still has a state. People don't understand the process of your Indian housing plan. So I would just say this. We got to teach more and more on how to take care of the homes that are already existing. 2, our next plan is to build for the next generation. So I fight so hard for Nahas to be reallocated again. This is a bigger picture, right? This is all United States tribes have gone through this, that we've never been ratified on a budget. So at any time they could say, well, we're not going to give you guys any more Indian housing plan money anymore.
Yeah.
So at this year is super important that we start talking to our Congress legislation over in Washington so that we can say, let's make this an annual budget for say 20 plus years. We're going to make sure we have this money. And then tribes can say, now I know I'm going to have that. Now I could reinvest in new housing for the next generation. Because for me, I'm thinking, I want that same opportunity. I want that same opportunity for my kids to have an opportunity to say, let me rent here on the res for about 5-10 years, build my money up, do my credit, get a better job, do a vocational job, get my technical skills up so I can have a job that's going to pay me $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Then let me buy a home. Because sometimes it feels like forcefulness on people to buy homes, and I don't want to put them in a house if they're paying $600 rent and the mortgage payment is going to be $1,200 to $1,800. That don't make sense, right? That we're forcing that hand on individuals. We need to force income that matches what today's economy is, right? So this is important for tribal members to know, like, don't put yourself in a situation you can't get in. And also talk to your tribe so you educate yourself on what your Indian housing plan is. And have your tribe do surveys. So every tribe's different. MPA might have a different idea of what they want to do with their Indian housing money. Hopland, every tribe's different.
Yeah.
So like I said, for me, it's just fighting for the money to make sure that we have it over a long period of time. And then the second phase, the strategic plan, phases for tribes so that we can have every 30 years, we build another 30 houses, another 40 houses every 30 years because tribal membership's grown.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, that was important to me because I used to be like, dang, I want a house when I turned 20, 30 years old. I did. I did, but I didn't have an option.
Yeah.
Right. Because my tribes has small parcel where we're only allowed to build so much and then you have to stop. You know, we got to reauthorize some more different lands. It's just, it's the bigger picture, but we need more people educated to say, hey, let's go talk to Congress or let's go talk to tribes till we can get this done.
Well, for the most part, the organization that owns the homes on reservations, and I know, like you said, every tribe's different, but if Northern Circle's housing authority is who you would have to go through to get a home. Or is it
if you're a part of the consortium?
Oh, okay.
If you're a part of the consortium, because remember, North Circle is still owned by tribes.
Okay.
They are owned by, if a tribe walked away from North Circle, they take their portion back.
I see.
Yeah, so the tribe still determines what happens. We just do what they tell us to do.
I see. Because I was confused on that part, like not knowing how all that worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also talked about going forward with being able to get people off the streets and into homes, because that's happening a lot with our people right now.
Yes.
So I think that's just super important to be able to continue to like push into the streets. And like you said, if somebody sees this video and says, man, like I'm on the streets, or if I'm going to be on the streets in a month, I'm going to hit up Priest.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about to me, is like being able to get those resources out there.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for that. And I appreciate you being able to talk about that.
Yeah.
Is there a way people can contact you in case they do?
Definitely. The phone number is 707-468-1336. If you just can't get through my line, just let the secretary know. They leave a little sticky note on my door, and I try to make sure we have a policy here to call back within 48 hours.
Yeah, cool. And you brought up a little bit ago about like being able to do these songs and bring back certain things that your elders taught you.
Yeah.
Is there anything like off top of your head that you're like, I want to start really like enforcing this, like, just, you know what I mean? Like, or like whatever, not enforcing it, but like bringing it back or whatever it may be. Because enforcing is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about, how we productively handle ourselves and walk in this way, right? And we got to understand nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the point, is that, we get a lot of judging in our community based off a mistake or a decision somebody made or allowed to make in where we use and practice culture. So let's talk about the stigma. First of all, judging and being a negative response to a lot of things community happens, right? Social media has a good and a bad. right? There's good things. We could celebrate some nice, happy things. And the other thing is like, we could slander somebody so bad that, you know, it just becomes repetitive and then you get other people doing it. I want to go back to the old ways where we knock on somebody's door and said, hey, if we have an issue with an individual, because I always go back to where my grandmother was, right? If there was something that needed to get done, or there's a conversation where somebody came to my grandmother's house and they complained about something, my grandmother would pick up the phone and say, hey, come on over here. We're going to discuss this right now and get it over with, because that's not a family value. That's not a belief that we have. That's not something that needs to happen in our community, regardless of whatever it is. Like I said, if it's something that you don't know about and it's not facts, and I only say this based off my own experience, if it's not facts, we shouldn't bring it up. But that's just a part of social media that we do with, right? And then for me, like being angry over things, like everybody around me said, don't be angry, just ignore it. But ignoring it is what we do. We do that in any community. If I ignore things, I'm not teaching the next generation how to deal with it, right? If I address it and teach individuals how to deal with it in an assertive way, this is a lot of words I learned now, in an assertive way, then things are more productive and we're teaching the next generation. Because we talk about the next generation.
Yeah.
We talk about them, but are we teaching them? And I'm not saying I'm the perfect person. I'm just saying that I know that I wouldn't put that on social media about anybody, but that's just me. And that's only because I want to be able to treat what my grandmother taught me to the best of my ability, right? Whenever, even if it was me and my uncle Zach, you know, in the house, we're like, well, if you got to do it, take it outside, deal with it. When you come back in, you better be best friends. You better be uncle and nephew again. You know what I mean? And I believe that wholeheartedly, you know, and not saying nothing's wrong. And then for just cultural, it's like, I can't say what happens in Lake County. I can't say what happens in any other county. And I can't say what happens to another tribe, whatever they do, whatever decisions you make.
Yeah.
But I can say what happens in my family. I can say what happens in my dance group. I can say these things because that's my realm, right? And so for me, I have a lot of teachers, right? I have the Clarences, I had Thomas Brown, I had Dave Smith, I have Ron Alec. I have a lot of teachers when it comes to culture. And that's one of the greatest things, is that I have people can help me make decisions, because I'm still young into this game, but I know it's my conviction and heart that wants to be there. And I know ceremony is going to save me, because my sister Erica told me all the time, culture cares. And I didn't know what that meant, you know, until I actually dove in, waking up every day, praying, and actually having an open mind, not judging people, not being involved in negative stuff, that my heart says, at the end of the day, I did something right. Because I get phone calls all day long for, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you help me? Hey, can you pray for me? Hey, can you do this? I can, right? But I don't want to do it with judgment. And then I'm not saying anybody's wrong out there if that's what they want to do. I'm just saying, for me, if I'm going to teach somebody that looks up to me, that's not what I'm going to teach, you know? And then we call it, and somebody taught me this in the cultural bypass, right? Say that I made a mistake in community, and then people just, oh, no, it's priest, he won't do it again, whatever. No, call the individual on it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how things get better, is if we just go to that person, don't use social media, just go to, hey, I heard about this, I feel this way about it. Then we're doing the work of creator.
Yeah.
Fixing these things in our community, right? And in individualisms, individuals out there today, you know, I'd rather have somebody call me in. I respect that more. And I think that cultural bypass is sometimes, oh no, it's okay. You know, those things, you know, are happening, or we just like totally ignore it. I don't want to ignore child molestation in a home. I don't want to ignore abuse. I don't want to ignore alcoholism and all these things in my home.
Yeah.
I want to show this is how we deal with those things. And I think that, you know, when it comes to, I'm responsible for my family. I'm responsible for the community that believes in me, but I'm not responsible for anybody else. But if they want help in how I deal with it, I think that's the conversation that needs to happen in the community.
And I think when people like go to somebody, hey, like you did this wrong. Like, and I think like if you did this better, like going forward, people like trying to take that as like a threat almost.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, like we need a lot better like conflict resolution in our communities. Cause like you said, that's a perfect example of conflict resolution. Hey, like I'm gonna go to you and call you out, and hopefully we'll go get better and move forward.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people like get upset with like being called out on things.
Yeah.
And aren't ready to like, and that's the thing. Like we need help with emotional regulation as well.
Yeah.
So that would help us in community as well. But like everyone thinks that because we're in community together means we can't call each other out or we can't have like that sort of dialogue. I think they thinks everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, like you said, to call people out, because I've been called out about a couple of things and I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to be like just a guy, just because I'm doing work in the community, nobody says anything when I do something wrong or whatever it may be, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like I completely, like I feel and I agree with that. Like be able to like have that conflict resolution in community.
It is. And I don't think we have an hierarchy in community to say, if something happened in Red Valley, we talk to this person to make sure that it's resolved well. If something happens in another rancheria, we need somebody to go talk to, because that's how it was before, right? Back in the old days, you would be able to go talk to that person, they'd bring him to the home, and you would fix those things, right? We don't have that. You know, we have what we can talk about to those individuals, but say if I'm at a big time or at a ceremony event and then we see something that's not protocol, we should be able to go talk to that one person and say, hey, can you address this in the house or address this at this big time? You know, we all know if you come in a good way, right? My grandmother said the same thing. Do not stop them from coming as long as they come in a good way. I'm like, ugh. I shouldn't feel that way when at the event, right? I should feel like, man, that person needs prayers for today. That person needs prayers for today, regardless, as long as they come in a good way and not be disrespectful to the ceremony. So like those protocols need to happen. You know, whether it be on social media, whether it be having a conversation or having a class or everything, you know, everybody has their own determination how it's going to be. For me, I have kids that come over here once or twice a month, maybe once every 2 months, and we have these conversations. What happened to you? What are you comfortable when you have these, when you go to these events? What makes you, and it's pretty much the same thing. They want other kids to live by their standards. No smoking, no cussing, no drinking, no, bad mouthing their parents, no body shaming. You know, they say the same thing over and over. But now it took a while for them to say, well, who's doing it? So I could say, hey, the parent, hey, let's talk about this thing so we could kind of address this, because we need the kids to get along. I want kids to go to an event and just be happy to play with any one of those kids, not to go on the corner and be sneaky, right? Talk to me. You know, and I think that's just what we want in community. It might not be the perfect way, but it's the only way I know right now. And then I would like to have somebody be responsible for each county to say, hey, if we're having problems with the county, we could go talk to this elder. And guess what? The elder's going to find a final word. That's, to be honest. I don't have my grandmother to have final word anymore. I have my aunts. I have my sisters to talk to. You know, whoever's taking responsibility as hierarchy in the family, right? For me, it's just for whatever I represent right here. So, like I said, I just hope that one day, because I really believe that we can manifest things, and I want dreamers to come back. I want medicine. You know, I'm not saying, I don't know if they're even here. Yeah. We don't. But if they are, I want to bring them out. I want them to be in full empowered. And this is my truth as culture, right? When I dream, when I pray for those things. I want them to come back. So I have some pathway to go with. So I know that I'm believing in it, and it's wholeheartedly. It's happening. These people can heal us now. You know what I mean? Because right now we're just healing ourselves, right? And we need to also show people how to heal each other, how to heal ourselves. Yeah. You know, and it's through these things. And right now it's videos, right? I might help somebody save their life today. You know, by saying, hey, I could reach out to Juan. They're having these conversations, and maybe this goes on to another podcast with the bigger picture. I was just talking to the director of Adventist Health, and today another one of those great things is happening is like they want to speak to tribes, because Adventist Health has the lives born. Our babies are born in that facility. Are we culturally practicing there in that facility? But they want to talk about this now. When the death of a family member goes there, are we practicing culture in that facility? This is not, it's happening, but it's not happening at the level that we need it to, right? It needs its own wing. We need our own babies to have their family there, to be able to have that singing, the songs, the protection, the whatever it needs to happen in that family or that tribe. And in a death, like I remember singing outside windows. I didn't feel comfortable. I wanted to be inside with our family.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen one day. And that's my dream that happens, that we can have a Native American. And even though we're going to use this word chaplain, we're going to have a Native American liaison that's going to be able to say, I know who to bring in. This is hospital. This is what's going to happen. So they understand. That relationship for me is important because I want our babies to have the protection that they don't have to worry about things in life with a mother, and to have, when the death happens, that we're always there for them. Regardless if they're church or if they're traditional ways, it doesn't matter to me. They're still my people. They're still tribal community.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, creating that relationship for them to even be like, hey, we want to even have this conversation. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's like not a lot of people are probably doing that. Not a lot of hospitals. It's a hospital, right?
Yeah, Adventist Health.
Yeah. So like probably not a lot of hospitals have even like took that step to like reach out to tribes and like want to even have that conversation. So that's big.
Yeah, Adventist Health has, and they're having success in Howard and Willits. But like I said, it's the bigger picture we want to see, right? We want it to happen every day.
Yeah. And just like Willis is just could be like that, just that starting point where it goes to Santa Rosa next or whatever it may be next. You know what I mean? Is there any topics that you want to bring up that I haven't brought up yet?
No, I think it's just important to start to just have these conversations so that we could bring positiveness in community. And the reason I think that we had this talk is because there's a lot of negative on social media, and there's a lot of things that at one point I had to stand up for myself. And that point has come and gone, but I also don't want to where we just keep ignoring things that happen on social media, where we have negative advocacy on social media. I'm not going to say names because I don't think they have the worth to have those things, or it's necessary for me just to say, look, if I could stand up for myself, you can too, right? Not everybody has the same story, but if you want to go forward in your path, there's support for you. And there's also individuals who can say, look, we can look and help you get to the place where you need to be. Nobody ever said this life was going to be easy, but I know what's most important to me is my freedom. I do not like prisons. I do not like jails. I don't want to be in a hospital bed, and I don't want to die unless I did something right. So for me, it's important to teach the kids, like, that's not important to go to those places. The last place we ever want to be is in jails and prisons. So I wake up every morning with gratitude that I at least get to wake up and breathe today. Secondly, I'm not in one of those facilities.
Yeah.
And thirdly, I'm allowed to be in this community to say, look what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not. But male influence is happening more and more. And look where you're at, Juan. You know, I remember when I was young, I only had Martin or say Dean Hoagland at the time. Now you have more names to talk about when it comes to male role modeling. You know what I mean? Even though some of us have past, I have a past, but I got past my past and changed that past into something positive. And I think that needs to grow. You know, changing your past into something positive. You know, I think that's the situation.
I'm big. Well, you talked about like kids coming forward and like asking for certain things. I'm big on encouraging our male identifying kids to like come forward and you just say, I need help. Because I would have never ever asked for help when I was 16, 17, 18, you know, with some of the kids that I work with. Even some of the middle schoolers are like encouraging them, you know, like come forward and just ask for help. Even if it's just the simplest thing, even in school, like some of them are like get kind of like scared to like read or whatever it may be. Like, I'll read it for you. I'll write, you know what I mean? Like, we'll get it through it together. Even though like I shouldn't be writing those things or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I just want to encourage them to like, I need help. Like, don't be, because I can see them, but they're like, you know, so like go forward and like encourage our males especially to come forward with like whatever they're going through.
I think this, just that step forward for individuals. I think of everything outside the box and I think positive about things. And I don't need to look back anymore. I just need to keep looking forward. And I think that's important for me. And I think it's important for people that when you need help, reach out. Even if it ain't me or it's somebody else, like we're here as a community to start giving back to community, you know, and we got to keep giving back. And at one time I thought about this, I'm going to retire from this type of job service or life that I'm doing. There is no retirement. There is none. This is what I'm going to be doing until the day that I go see Creator and my ancestors, you know, and that's what I learned culturally and traditionally, you know, regardless of what I do in my life, it's going to be positive. And like I said, I might not be perfect and I might not have the best day ever. But one thing that I will do is just make sure that I don't create something negative for somebody's individual lives to harm anybody.
I love it. And I've been asking this question to everybody. What advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
Oh, my advice is my 16-year-old self definitely was in the concept of hurt and harming myself because I really didn't believe that Creator was around because it's taking so many lives from me. So what I think I would do is don't give up on your culture and your traditions. Don't give up on what the people taught you. Don't give up, because my grandmother taught me nothing but unconditional love. I had everything that I ever wanted as a kid until she passed away. And then after that, I felt like life wasn't okay. But don't give up on, and don't forget how you were taught. Because if it wasn't for my grandmother, my mom, my uncles, and my family, I could have made it easier on myself from age 18 to the day that I changed my life. You know, I mean, I gave up on things. I didn't believe in it anymore. I gave up on Creator because I thought he took my grandma. I thought he took my dad. I thought he took my aunts. And so, like I said, don't give up on the things that you were taught when you were younger.
I love it. Again, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah, and looking forward to seeing all this that's coming from Northern Circle Housing, like everything that you guys are doing, not only the financial literacy and just like the housing that you guys are helping people get into, whatever it may be. It's beautiful. So thank you. I just appreciate it, and it's amazing to be able to be a part of and see it. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Peace.